want to talk about bone broth. So bone broth is one of those superfoods that you probably hear a lot about. It has so much vitamins in it. And we're talking calcium, magnesium, phosphorus, silicon. Like, it is amazing. It has a good amount of protein in it, and of course collagen. And if you've done any kind of research on collagen, it is really good for your nails, your skin, your hair, your joints. You know, it helps lubricate those joints, especially during the winter time and all. It's one of the best things that you can do for your joints. It's also amazing for when you're sick. You know, it can help boost your immunity, and depending on what you put into it, you really can help boost your immunity even more. Alright, so here on the Homestead, I make broth every week. Sometimes it's vegetables, sometimes it's bone broth. And today I'm actually going to show you both my recipes that I use to make bone broth and my vegetable broth. I use the crock-pot method. Some people use Instapots. You can put it on your stove. I just find that the crock-pot in our home is one of the best things to do, because I can put it in here, I can let it set for, 24, I've even let it go 48 hours before. I wouldn't recommend going beyond that, just because the fact that the bones and some of the, maybe if there's any leftover meat on it, can start going rancid, and it would be gross, and it potentially could make you sick at that point. So, alright, to the recipe. So I don't actually have a technical recipe that I follow. It's pretty much just, that I roast my bones. 45 minutes to an hour, depending on how big they are and how much I have. And then I just layer them into my crock pot. Today I am using some of our rabbit bones. So this is part of the chest cavity. And I have already roasted these this morning. So I'm just going to layer them in here real quick. Sometimes you gotta kind of maneuver. That one's not gonna fit very well. And then what you're going to want to do is, when you pour your water, you want to make sure that it is just covering the top of the bones. You don't want, it to be completely way over the top, over submerged or anything, because then it's not going to gel as it should. So you got some of the front legs here. And we do a lot of rabbit bone broth here on the Homestead because we meat rabbits and all. And then also I like to add some kind of foot to it. So like a turkey foot, a chicken foot. If you get pig feet, you could even go with that. I just happen to have turkey foot from when we butchered our turkeys, one of our turkeys the other day. Get it all in there. And I will give you a quick view of what this looks like. Alright, so once you have your bones in the pot, then you are going to pour filtered water over them. Just, like I said, just till you're covering the bones and stuff. And, depending on how big your crock pot is, and how much bones you have, and then you might have to use quite a bit of water. I think that's probably going to be good, maybe a little bit more here. It's fine if some of them are sticking up, because over time, as some of them break down, they will fall down into the water. And so they will get more, more in touch with the water and be able to extract some of the nutrients. And then a splash of apple cider vinegar. So this, I may do a little more than a splash, but This helps to pull out more of the nutrients out of the bones. Just like when you roast them, it helps soften some of the marrow and the bones up so that more nutrients actually comes out of them. And this helps a lot too. And that's pretty much it for this one. You roast your bones, and you don't have to roast your bones. I just like doing it. I like the flavor that it brings. And you roast your bones, you put them in your crock pot, you put your water over the top of them, add a splash of apple cider vinegar, and you put your lid on. And I like to run mine on low for at least 24 hours. You can add other stuff to it. I have added ginger root, I've added turmeric root to it as well. And let it set. If you plan to add any vegetables to it, I would only run your vegetables at least about a 12 hour time frame with the bones. So let your bones run 12 hours, then add your vegetables and let them run for 12 hours. And then you strain it all out. And I will come back tomorrow and I will show you what this looks like. All right, now for the vegetable broth. So I save all my vegetable scraps, whether it be onion peels, carrot peels, the mushrooms, tops of mushrooms, just pretty much anything, garlic peels as well. I will save them and I will gallon size bag in the freezer until I build up enough to make some more broth with them. I would recommend that you don't put sweet potato peels and regular potato peels in there. I mean, you can use small amounts of the peelings, but I find that it kind of gives it a bitter taste. Along as well with cauliflower, broccoli, asparagus. Those usually don't end up making some very good vegetable broth. I like to stick a lot of times with root vegetables. Now I would say rutabagas is not probably the best to put in there, and sometimes turnips can make it a bit bitter. You just kind of have to play around with what you actually like to your broth to taste like. You can also put turmeric, ginger. You can use a lot of herbs in your vegetable broth. I usually do. I'll put a lot of dried herbs in there as well. I have used burdock root in there. So it's just kind of like what you prefer, what you want the flavor to be. Yeah, and it's pretty much just the same as with the bone broth. I'm just going to dump these in to the point that it will actually fit in there. You know, and sometimes I'll have a little left over and it just goes back in the bag and back in the freezer. Okay. And then just the same thing, you're just going to pour water over it till it's good covered there. You don't have to add apple cider vinegar to this one, but I like to do that. I just think it helps pull some of the nutrients out of stuff. And like I said, you can add salt to this, you can add pepper, you can add any other spices, dry or fresh, to this. And you just put your lid on, turn it on low. I usually like to leave mine going anywhere from 12 to 24 hours, depending, you know, if I have it with the bone broth or if it's by itself. If it's by itself, I'll let it go a little longer. Not much past 24 hours, because then you really start getting a very bitter flavor, and it gets very, very strong at that point. But yeah, I mean, that's how we make our bone broth and our vegetable broth, and I do this weekly, either with one, the other, or in case for this week, I have to get both of them because we literally are out of broth in the freezer. It does freeze well. You can put them in jars and put it in the freezer and just pull it out as you need. I would definitely say that with both of these, that you want to use or consume within the week that you defrost them. You know, I usually don't let mine go past 7 days. I usually don't make it past just a few days around here, especially in the winter time when I am making a lot of soups and stews, and we also use bone broth in our hot chocolate. So that will be another video that I will do for y'all and show you how we do that. But yeah, I mean, if you have never given bone broth a try, you should. And I'm not talking the store-bought stuff. I'm talking homemade, delicious bone broth. And definitely trust the source of your bones. That is something too that you need to consider, is that trust the source that your bones come from. We use, you know, a lot of the bones from our property, from the animals that we raise. You know, we raise rabbits, we have chickens, we raise turkeys and goats. So when we butcher, we will use those. And we do buy local meats too that are raised on pasture. And so I trust that source for our bones, because a lot of nutrients and even toxins and stuff will be stored in the animal's bones. You know, and that's something you don't want it to leach out. So definitely is one of those, is trust your source for the bones that you use for your broth and all. And just give it a shot. You know, see what you think of it, and it definitely will improve your health a lot. It has ours, and it's really great for digestion. I forgot to mention that one earlier, that it is amazing for your digestion. It helps everything to lubricate well. It gives your gut lots and lots of nutrition that it can absorb rapidly, and it helps you heal. Like, it helps your body definitely heal. Alright, so it's the next day, and I want to show y'all how I take care of my bone broth. So I like to use a nice good sized bowl and a colander. So you can use cheesecloth, you can use a dish towel. I just happen to have these rags that I like to use. I've had these for years, and they've been used for bone broth, cheese making, all kinds of stuff. And I usually don't let my crock pots cool down. I mean, you can turn them down and let them cool. I like to pour it straight when it's still hot. It seems to flow better that way. Y'all should smell how good it smells in here. Look at this. Look at that beautiful broth. And it can splatter, so be kind of careful with that one. And then I just gather the corners. And then I will hang this up somewhere. So I usually will hang it like on the counter or something. I need to probably build some kind of apparatus because I make this so much. And I will just let it drain. And then I'll be back with you in just a little while. It usually takes about 30 minutes to an hour sometimes to fully drain out. So it took about roughly 30 minutes to drain. This is what you're left with. Look at that. Ain't it amazing? It smells so good too. And then, like all the leftovers, as you can see in here, the meat, the bones, once this cools, we toss it out to our birds. Our chickens get a lot of stuff. We try to do as much no waste as possible. And I will ladle this into jars once it cools enough that I can put it either fridge or refrigerator. I like to put like half and half, and that way I have some on hand and then some that is freezing. And once it cools, this is what you're left with. It is so good. It smells so good. I think y'all can see it. This batch turned off a little runnier. This was from the other day. I'm hoping this one here gels better. Then you repeat the process with your vegetable broth. You strain it. I usually let it go longer for the straining because it does tend to have to take a little bit longer to get everything out of there. And once it cools down enough that you can use your hands, you can really squeeze on it. And same thing, just I will bottle it up and put it in the refrigerator. And we've got bone broth and vegetable broth. Like I said, I like to use it within 7 days. And yeah, so Alright, thank y'all for watching. If you decide to make this recipe, definitely comment below. I would love to hear what y'all think of it. And if you have any questions about bone broth or how I've done my vegetable broth, please don't hesitate to comment. And thank you for watching. And thank you for being on this journey with us. And I guess I will talk to y'all later. And y'all have a good day.